The wealth class in Ireland, the wealth gap, wealth privilege, not white privilege, wealth privilege. That's what we're going to be speaking about today. And I want you to watch a video clip from a lady that was an American lady who's came over to Ireland. She filmed people in Dublin, and she got opinions from people in Dublin of just about what it's like living in Ireland. She spoke to one lady that I find is very interesting. This lady lived in France. She's an Irish lady. She lived in France, and then she lived in London, and then she came back here with her English husband. So she's got a few euro about her, right? She's got a few pound about her. And it's really interesting to see these people's opinions who have came back here from other countries, and they're giving their opinions. I'm going to quote her. She says Ireland has grown up in regards to the multiculturalism, and I want to give you my opinion. I want to give you my opinion in this here, because this is a wealth privilege. I'm not giving off about people that are wealthy. Make as much money as you want. I don't care. I treat everybody the same. A homeless person or a billionaire, it doesn't make a difference to me. But there is this reoccurring theme around the world, not just in Ireland. You have these upper class, middle class, even political class people who are for sort of mass immigration, and they don't live in areas that are affected by this. So they're not in the areas where women are being targeted by radicals. They're not in areas where people are being stabbed. They're not in areas where children can't play out in the streets anymore. So it doesn't affect them, so it mustn't be happening. And this is a direct result of wealth privilege. I'm not an advocate against people being wealthy, but I'm an advocate for educating these people about certain areas of Ireland. Like, go, and if you have an opinion about immigration, go and live in an area for a couple of months that is packed full of people that have came from, not immigrants, not legal immigrants, because there's lots of people who come to this country that are just fine. Brazilians, Argentinians, people from all around the world, Americans, Russians, take your pick, and they're 100% fine. They benefit society. But there is, over the past 2 years, an influx of radicals coming into this country. And I have to quote this again: 150 jihadists that promote Sharia law, that are war tacticians, reside in Ireland. And when I say 150 plus, that could be 1,000. This was exposed by the lady who, she was I think she was ex-radical, and she still wears the burqa and all, but she was an ex-radical that spoke about this, saying that Ireland is a hub for these radicals because they can come here and live here freely without any worry that they're going to get persecuted against. So this is what I'm trying to say. The wealth class, the wealth privileged people aren't seeing this. They're not around this, and they don't want to see this. And they think that's why you're getting people like myself and other people are being called far right for just highlighting an issue. Oh, you're far right, you're a racist, you're a bigot because you're highlighting a fact. We don't see this. Well, you don't see this is because of your wealth privilege. And this is the issue. You have wealthy people in Ireland that are sort of for the far left and side with the far left commies because they don't know any better. But if they actually lived around areas that were affected by this, by these radicals coming in, and I'm not even talking about people from the Middle East, I'm not talking about Muslims in general, I'm talking about people who are radical Islamists, radical jihadists, radical people who promote Sharia law. And they're saying that this is Ireland growing up. I would say this is Ireland in regression, because if we allow this to happen, more of these radicals come in, they will vote out the left-leaning people. And guess what? We're living in a Sharia law society where women don't have rights. They're not allowed to drive. You're allowed to beat your wife. There's no age of consent. So this is literally the definition of the left eating itself. Literally, this is what's happening here. So we're going to get into that today, and we're going to read an article from Grip Media, just a little bit, and then we're going to react to a clip from an American lady who she posted this on YouTube, and she asked this lady this question, and I couldn't believe the answer. I really couldn't believe the answer. How would this lady know? This lady lived in France for many years, then she moved to London. How would she know what's happening on the streets of Dublin? Was she there when, for the past 2 years, whenever there was an influx of all these radicals coming in? Was she there when Aisling Murphy was murdered? Was she there whenever the children were stabbed in the streets in Dublin? Was she there when those women were raped? Oh, and you're going to say to me, well, there's rapists in every country, 100%. Why bring more in, though? We've got enough of our own that we need to deal with. We need to crack down on all the sexual assaults against women. We need to crack down on all the criminal behavior. Why are you importing more criminals? Import all the rest of the people that are good for society. Let's live in a multicultural society, but a multicultural society that's vetted, so we know who comes into this country is safe, just like Australia. Is the Australian government far right and bigoted? Is that what we're dealing with here? Are they bigoted for having a vetting process? Right now, Ireland has no vetting process. Anybody can come in here, rip up their passport, come in. There could be a radical. And under the new laws that Ireland are trying to bring in, they're trying to change the constitution. A woman can come over here and say that she has 20 family members, and by law, Ireland will have to bring them over under the new definition of what a family is. So this is what I'm saying to you. We need to be very careful, and it's these wealth privileged people that are siding with the far left commies that actually don't have a clue. They don't have a clue because they're not round it. As I said, park a load of the radicals outside Bono's house. Park them, put them in areas where the wealthy are, and you will see a change. But it's the wealthy that's promoting this because they don't know. Some of them do know. Some of them are just far left whack jobs commies that want to change society. So yeah, we're going to be speaking about that today. Check your privilege, the social class and wealth gap on immigration. For most normal people with busy lives, the phrases ABC1 and C2DE are entirely meaningless. Bring them up in a conversation, and it's likely that people will assume that you're friends with R2D2 from the Star Wars franchise. ABC1 and C2DE are in fact categories of social class and household income used in marketing and advertising, as well as in opinion polls, in order to differentiate people according to wealth, education, and general social class. As a simple guide, the closer to A you are, the wealthier and better educated and more well off you are. The closer to E, the more likely you are to live in a council house and describe yourself as unemployed. There's a third category as well, generally used in Ireland, F, which stands for farmers and generally refers to people of rural agricultural backgrounds. I mention all of this because this weekend's Irish Times opinion poll figures on immigration made entirely clear what a lot of us might have suspected, that there's a significant wealth and social class gap when it comes to attitudes of immigration and the impact of immigration in Ireland. We asked, for example, whether immigration has been a net positive for Ireland. The overall national results were a yes. 48% of people said it was a positive. Just 35% said it was a negative. Break that figure down by social class, and the results are stark. The majority of positive is derived from overwhelmingly positivity from the richest people in Ireland. Fully 59% of the ABC1 said immigration is a net positive, with only 28% saying negative. When you ask the same question of poor people and farmers, the answer is very different. In both cases, 43% of people say that immigration has been a net negative, with only 37% in the C2DEs and 34% in the farmers group saying positive. So what does that tell us? That tells us that the wealthy in Ireland are for immigration. They want more immigration. They don't care about it. Now, why would they not care about that? Now, you really need to understand this, and this isn't me generalizing people, because as you say, there was a percentage of wealthy people that were opposed to the immigration policies that Ireland have. So it's not everybody. And some people just don't care. So you have to take into a percentage of that too. And when it comes to these opinion polls, you can't really trust them. You know, America used them, and Britain used them, and the West used them. You can't really trust them. But hypothetically speaking, we'll go with their narrative here in this. I know this isn't Grip Media's fault, but I'm really skeptical about opinion polls, because anybody could lie. Anybody could lie. So what I'm trying to say here is that hypothetically speaking, if this is true, then there is a vast majority of people in Ireland that are wealthy, that come into the middle class or upper class, that are for immigration. Why would they want that? Would they not want to preserve their beautiful land and keep their wealth? Well, this is what a societal change is. Now, if you look back at the wealthy in any country, but we'll choose Ireland, the wealthy want to keep their wealth. Now, a lot of the wealthy have businesses, and what the way they would see it is, well, there's a lot of young people leaving Ireland. They're going off to Australia, they're going off to America, they're traveling all around the world. So we need to keep the more people that's in Ireland, the more money we make. That is a reason for it, that they want people in Ireland that's going to work for them in their factories and their businesses to make them more money. So yes, I get that, and I actually agree with that. See, I'm not anti-immigration. I'm not. If you're anti-immigration, you're thick, you're stupid. You don't have a clue what you're talking about. Every country needs immigration, but they also need a vetting process like Australia. Because if you don't have a vetting process, your country can be infiltrated with radicals. We are not talking about the good people of Earth coming here, that come here, that are vetted, that they're legal, and they come in here and they want to just experience Ireland, work here, and maybe they want to change in life. There's nothing wrong with that. There's lots of good, decent people from around the world that I meet on a day-to-day basis. I've worked with them. They're fantastic people. This isn't about being a big, bad racist that's against other cultures apart from Ireland. This is about wanting a vetting process. And these wealthy people don't understand this because they're not living. This is the second reason they're not living in areas that are affected by this. Now, as soon as you pump in a vast majority of not the immigrants, but the radicals into their areas, that's whenever you will see change. Because I spoke about this yesterday about money talks. So if you open a plantation or a building or a housing estate in a wealthy area, and you pack that not full of native people of Ireland, but if you pack that full of immigrants that have came here, or even illegal immigrants or refugees from a certain area of the world that have a certain ideology, like they promote Sharia law, they are not for progressiveness, they're for regression. If you pump that into a wealthy area, you will see change in the morning. What the government is doing, they're pumping these people into sort of less privileged areas. And the people that are seeing this are the poor people. And the poor people don't have a voice in Ireland. The reason why the wealthy people aren't standing up for this, the two reasons I spoke about. One, they probably want more people to come in here, so they're going to work for them. That's fine. Economic reasons, that's good. But what the wealthy people don't realize is that a lot of the people coming in now aren't vetted. There's no vetting process. You can come in here, rip your passport, and come in. You could be a radical. You could be anybody, a rapist, a pedophile, a criminal. You could really harm society. They're not realizing that. Some of them do, and they're just evil, and they want to allow it anyway because they're just far left evil people. But it's the vetting process. There's no vetting process, so the wealth gap in Ireland is actually creating this. What I would suggest is, for anybody that's a nationalist in Ireland now that has any power, try to drive these refugees, not all of them, but the ones with the radical ideologies, drive them into the rich places of Ireland. And I guarantee you, within 2 weeks, you're going to see a big change. There won't be protests. There won't be people in the streets screaming and shouting. That's what less wealthy people have to do. But you'll have some big top dog coming in saying, listen, our area is being ruined here, Leo. You have to sort this out. And within about a month, you'll see all that stop. Honestly, money speaks. It's the wealth class in Ireland. It's the political class. And it's always been like this, except now there's a different issue because there's so many people that have left Ireland because of the state of it, because of inflation and all the rest, and the cost of living, that they've immigrated to other countries. They've went to other countries. And what the government is allowing in isn't vetted human beings. They're coming in unvetted. And a lot of them are radicals armed with a dangerous ideology. And you need to know this. Now, the next video we're going to watch is going to be of a lady who is Irish. She lived away from Ireland for a long period of time. She came back, and this is her opinion on Ireland now. And this is evidence of how wealth privilege works. What do you see? So I've came here to a YouTube channel of an American lady who is just doing little interviews with Irish people just to see what Ireland's like, to get their opinions on different things. And this is a part of the video that I find that you need to watch, because this lady here, I do believe that she's a wealthy lady. She's well in the right. She's probably worked very, very hard. She's very, as you'll hear, she's a very cultured lady. She's lived in many different countries. This channel's called Traveling with Christian, and it's got come up to 200,000 subscribers. And this video here, I believe, I can't see the amount. Oh yes, it's coming up to 300,000 views, and this was posted 11 months ago, so it's quite recent. So you're getting the initial reaction from somebody who is wealthy, who's lived in, I think she's going to say, France and then England, London, two very expensive places, and she's going to give you her reaction to what Dublin is like now, what Ireland is like now.
From we were in London for the last 10 years.
Oh, but you're from Dublin.
I'm from.
You are, I'm not. No. I'm from England.
Oh, okay.
I'm not London.
What brought you to London?
We used to live in France.
Oh,
And a lot of
world
our-
travelers.
Yeah, and a lot of our pals were moving kind of in that direction. So we thought it'd be nice to be surrounded by our old pals, some from here, some
Yeah.
from there. So yeah, we ended up moving to London for 1 year.
One
And
turned
stayed
into
to
10. And what were some of the differences in living in London versus Dublin?
Look at this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
less
point.
nature.
Yeah, you feel a lot more like you're in a big city.
It is quite crowded.
Yeah, I didn't feel that because we were we were in Wimbledon, which was quite green
Oh, right.
and beautiful.
So I'm assuming if you're living in Wimbledon, that's quite an upper class area. Like, it's a nice area that probably wouldn't be affected by the mass immigration that's happened in London. I could be wrong about that. Forgive me if I'm wrong. I'm not good with the geography of London, but that you would have to have a couple of pound in your back pocket to afford to live in an area like that. So this is one of the things that I talk about, wealth privilege. These people aren't around the destruction that comes with allowing radicals into your company or into your country. I'm not talking about proper immigration where there's a vetting process where lots of lovely people from around the world come in to work in the country. I'm not talking about that. That's a good thing. I'm for that. But I'm assuming this lady hasn't been around the radicals that have been allowed in, that are trying to advocate, or they're advocating for Sharia law zones in London. She's never lived in East London.
Pace here is slower
Mhm.
and not in a kind of backward way, just in a more leisurely way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I noticed people are enjoying life around here.
Yeah.
And what are some of the things that you appreciate more after leaving and coming back?
I think the city's changed very much
Yeah,
from where
from 10 years ago.
yeah, even I lived here 20 years ago, so I was
Uh-huh.
around. For me, yeah, it's definitely more cosmopolitan. It's a little more diverse, which we like.
Yeah.
It feels like a European city, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I know it is.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's grown a lot.
It's grown up.
Yeah.
So there you go. So this lady's idea of multiculturalism is growing up, and she would be correct in that. A multicultural society is not a bad thing. People say multiculturalism has failed. It has failed to a certain degree because of one thing: they allow everybody in, even the radicals. So with this lady here, right, who I'm assuming is wealthy, has lived in places like in London, like Wimbledon, who, I think that's what you said there. I'm thinking the Wombles or the Wombles of Wimbledon. Maybe is it a rich area? I'm assuming it's a rich area. And if it's not a rich area, I apologize, because I really don't know if that's a rich area, but I'm assuming that she's not in East London here. I'm assuming that Wimbledon isn't in East London. So I'm assuming that she hasn't been around the radicals. She's not in zones where they're promoting Sharia law. Now, am I saying here that all immigration's bad? I have to keep repeating myself for people to understand this, because some people do struggle a little bit. I'm not saying I'm against immigration. I'm just pro vetting process. Ireland doesn't have that. So she's saying it's very multicultural. It's very diverse. Okay, great. But are you in the areas that radicals have allowed to come into, like the 150 jihadists plus, could be 1,000, that are pro Sharia law, that are against women having rights, that are for no age of consent? Have you been in these areas? Because there's lots of them in London, Ireland's doing the exact same thing. So you can spout off multiculturalism, you can spout off this, but this is a clear sign of the wealth privilege. Because if you're wealthy in Ireland, you can choose not to live in areas that are affected by the radicals coming in. That's why I said the radicals coming in, not immigration, because immigration isn't the problem here. It's the vetting process. The radicals are allowed in because there is no vetting process. That's it. There are a lot of people who come from all around the world that work in Ireland. So as long as you know, that's where I stand on that. I'm not anti-immigration. The Irish immigrated all around the world. We were accepted because we went to a country and we worked in that country and we benefited society. I'm for the same people to come here. So it's the vetting process. If you allow even a small minority of radicals to come in, that seed will grow. This woman's the people that are coming in here are advocating for women not to even be able to walk like this out on the street of Ireland. That you're not allowed to show skin. You're not allowed to be a liberal. This is direct evidence and direct proof that the wealth privileged in Ireland actually don't know what's going on, because they move all around the world and they move into places that aren't affected by the radicals that are allowed in. Just look at France. She's lived in France. Do you think that she's been anywhere where those people who are wrecking shops, they're thieving, there's women being raped in France, there's people being robbed in France from people that France allowed in? Radical thinkers that promote Sharia law. Do you know what I mean? Do you think that she lived in areas in London? No, she's just told you. These people, I have to think it was Martin Luther King said, beware of the white liberal. I'm going to paraphrase here. Beware of the white liberal, because they are they are a destructive force. And this is what you're seeing here.
Yeah, it's not as provincial
Developed
as
more.
it felt before.
Okay.
Yeah, I think anyway.
Have you found that there's any downsides?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
the cost.
Yeah, I noticed it's like the US, the prices.
Whoa,
Yeah.
it's shocking.
Do you rent or own?
We own.
Okay.
So the property prices they're very expensive, but compared to London, they're manageable.
Right. Everything's
But
relative.
everyday things like
Yeah.
supermarket shopping.
So the only thing that she has an issue with, because she is, she's not living in the council estates around some of these radicals. The only thing that she has a worry about is the cost of living. So whenever she goes to the supermarket, it's a little bit higher in price because she's money motivated, wealth motivated. So she doesn't care about all the people coming in. She doesn't care about the housing crisis. She doesn't care that the fact that her own government has contradicted itself, saying we need to crack down on our carbon emissions, but allow more people to come in that create more carbon emissions. They buy more cars, they do more things like that. So, or, this is what I'm trying to say to you. These people, are very, very dangerous. They're very kind, they're very sweet, they don't mean bad, but they're actually dangerous because think about it this way. This person has a greater chance of having control of what happens in her area because of her wealth. So her opinions on the situation aren't educated. So if she got into like a job that could affect an area, then her opinions will go against the narrative of the actual people that are living in the areas. She won't listen to the people because she'll be told that these people are all far right and racist and bigots, when in fact they're crying to you, saying to you, look, we're not against immigration. We've lived in a multicultural society for a very long time, but you're allowing radicals into our country that are pro-rape. They don't want an age of consent. They target our women. They target us. They rob us. They do all of this. We've got enough problems in Ireland with our own people doing this. Why are you allowing more people in like this? But this lady here lived in London, upper class in London, upper class in France, upper class in Dublin, in Ireland. So she doesn't understand what it's like on the street level. And the areas that she's living in aren't affected. And this is a big issue in Ireland at the minute. This is wealth privilege. And it's the wealth privileged people that are for the far lefts, that think everybody that's opposing their ideas is far right. This is a serious problem that needs to be addressed.
insane.
Yeah, the prices of just like breakfast, lunch, and dinner are quite
Insane.
high.
Going out for a meal, insane. Price of wine, nuts. I'm like,
The price of wine is nuts. The price of wine is nuts. That's what she has to worry about. The price of wine is nuts. There's people living in there's people who live in the working class in Ireland that have bought houses that are now surrounded by people that hate them. And this woman's talking about the price of wine. Do you get what I'm saying here? Do you understand? Nobody gives a fiddlers about the price of wine. They just want to live in the society that they've always lived in. They don't care about the wealth class, the wealth privilege, the lower class, the people in the council houses, the people that are billionaires or whatever. They just want to live in the society that they know, an open, free society. Right now, there is a lot of young, fighting fit men armed with a dangerous radical ideology allowed in by the government. And it's these people that are allowing it because their opinions are worth more than mine and yours. Her opinion, if she was speaking to Leo Varadkar, her opinion would be worth 1,000,000, would be worth 200 of our opinions because she comes from that class of people. And this is what the problem is. There is a serious, serious class issue in Ireland. And unfortunately, they are the upper classes, the middle classes, the political classes are siding with the radical leftists that are allowing droves of people into this country with armed with a dangerous ideology. And guess what? See the other immigrants that are coming in that are just here to work freely and experience Ireland, they're going to be tarred with the same brush because of idiots like this. So there you go. There's my opinion on it all, guys. Everything's up for debate. I'm not saying everything I'm saying here is fact, but there's definitely an issue in Ireland in regards to wealth privilege. And you need to know this, when it comes to these socialists, most of the socialists come from wealthy backgrounds. And it's really strange to see that. We're moving into this era of self-loathing white liberals that hate themselves for being wealthy. Most of these people were given this wealth. A lot of them worked very, very hard for it. But there's a couple of reasons why they're like that. Like Martin Luther King, I think it was Martin Luther King or Malcolm X, one of them said that beware of the white liberal. And he was 100% correct because they will destroy society. These self-loathing, rich white liberals, they have no clue. They don't have a clue. They've just went out, got their little degree, lived life. They were that kid in school that had the fancy car, that passed their test before everybody else. They weren't, do you know what I mean? And these people dictate what happens in Ireland, but they don't know what happens in the council estates. Because guess where all the radicals get put into? The council estates. That's what happened in London. I'm not talking about Muslims. I'm not talking about Buddhists. I'm not talking about Christians. I'm not talking about the color of somebody's skin. I'm talking about the government is allowing in a radical ideology. And it is a seed. And it is a rotting seed that will grow into a vine that we will not be able to get rid of if we don't put our mark or we don't stamp this out right now. And it's the same as Leo Varadkar. He's like one of these people. He just doesn't understand. He's more interested than dropping the price of a bottle of wine than stopping the radicals coming into the country, because these aren't radicals. These are just people that need our help. Well, realistically, there's Brazilians that are coming in here, South Americans, North Americans, Canadians, people from all around the world that just want to work here, people from the Middle East that just want to work here and live in a free society. But there's other people allowed in here without a vetting because we don't have a vetting process. They don't want a vetting process. I've given you my reasons why and how that's happening, coming from the spider web of Europe. But this woman here has lived in, let me stay in the socialist thing. So the socialist thing is like, they want the spread of wealth. They want nobody to go hungry. I'm for that. I don't want anybody to go hungry either. But what you're doing within it, like a sort of like promoting a socialist society, is you're chopping entrepreneurship in half. There's no incentive for people to strive to the top. There's no point. So that's why I'm against that. And then when you've got these people that have never lived in the areas that have been affected by the radicals that are allowed in here, they have an opinion on it. Oh, it's just Ireland growing up. Ireland's putting on his big boy pants now. No, this is a regression. Ireland growing up would have a heavy vetting process like Australia. have a heavy vetting process so that anybody that does come into this country is going to benefit society. And that would be Ireland putting on its big boy pants. Right now, Ireland is in a regression, an actual regression. There's people coming in here with a Neanderthal thinking that think that women do not have rights, or women are being targeted on the streets, or women are being raped, or children are being stabbed. And anybody that speaks about this is being called far right. And this lady here is worried about the price of alcohol going up because she doesn't live in the areas that are being affected. And this is a serious, serious issue. Right, guys, that's the end of the video. Make sure if you're watching this on YouTube to smash that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And make sure you share. Just copy link the clipboard, make a little social media post, send to your friend on Facebook or WhatsApp Messenger. Thanks to everybody that's came and subscribed to the channel, that leaves a comment, that likes. I'm getting a lot of likes. I'm getting a lot of shares at the minute. Keep it up, guys. You are fantastic. I love every single one of you. If you're watching this on X, make sure to retweet this, leave a comment, give it a heart. If you're watching this on Rumble, make sure to give this a rumble, leave a comment, and the same applies. Share if you can. And yes, if you're watching on X, jump over to my YouTube and subscribe. Just use the handle on the screen. If you're watching this on YouTube, jump over to my X, and vice versa. Rumbles, just use the handles on the screen. That's it, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. Peace.